as other counsel. Look, I agree with vigorous defense. I believe if you in good faith have third-party culprit evidence, you need to pursue it. But lives do matter, and you don't want to just throw anything and see what sticks to the wall. What was done to Colin Albert in this case was an absolute, utter disgrace. The kid was a student athlete, went to bed, woke up to people calling him a murderer. Tell me, a year and a half later, give me one single witness that puts Colin Albert within a mile of John O'Keefe that night. Colin Albert, a young man, went to the federal grand jury, did not assert the fifth, went in and was questioned by the feds, gave them every single thing they wanted to know. Colin Albert has data and information showing he left the Fairview Road address at least 15 to 20 minutes before John O'Keefe even got there. Yet people, I hope he rots, I hope he goes to jail. To me, that was disgusting, and you see that they backed off from Colin Albert. And we can go through the other parties, and again, look, Proctor's fair game, but you gotta have one witness that cracks, right? You gotta have someone that cooperates. People walk around and say, oh, Brian Albert tuned him up. Where's the witness that says Brian Albert assaulted John O'Keefe? They don't have one. So I think they've gone much more obtuse now and much more macro in the conspiracy that something happened in that house.
Without pointing a specific finger in front of the jury.
Without pointing the finger, but they were throwing people's names around. Chris Albert wasn't at the party when John O'Keefe was there, and they were picketing his business. They were going to his town meetings, holding up signs. I mean, look, there's got to be, I'm as aggressive as there is, but you got to have some good faith and humanity in how you do this, because there's been a lot of collateral damage inflicted.
So the bottom line, we're out of time for tonight, but the bottom line, you believe the way the trial's going to go, they're not going to get as specific as they were in the pre-trial motions and everything leading up to it, leaving it a little more general that something happened in the house.
Judge Cannone won't, you got to have at least, and it doesn't, even reliable hearsay, but third-party culprit, you've got to establish a foundation to get that in.
And they don't have it yet.
They don't even have close to it. They
develops.
promised it, so it's going to be interesting.
Joseph
and the two
Krowski
things
Jr.
aren't mutually exclusive.
Right.
She can be not guilty of murder, and no one in that house had even touched her. That's an unresolved question.
Bill Keefe, great to have you here.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to the forensic room. I'm here with Julie Carpenter and Ginny Jams on Mama Llama. And our show tonight is about someone that never should have been dragged into this case, Colin Albert. At the time of John O'Keefe's death, Colin Albert was 17 years old, a minor, who was suddenly turned into a character in a narrative he didn't create, didn't deserve, and he couldn't control. Over the last few years, a story was pushed relentlessly that Colin Albert was involved in, responsible for, and part of a cover-up surrounding the death of John O'Keefe. Claims designed to redirect blame and protect Karen Reed. This story didn't emerge organically. It was manufactured more than 1 year after John's death, beginning with Aidan Kearney's first Canton cover-up blog, April 18th, 2023. An 18-year-old kid who should have been focused on college, playing football in college, and building his future had his life blown apart. Not because of evidence, not because of facts, but because a false narrative was unleashed and relentlessly pushed. The harassment was so extreme that he was forced out of college, his school was targeted, his football team was targeted, and his name was smeared. And the damage didn't stop there. His entire life's trajectory was altered. Opportunities erased, his future was rerouted. All of it driven by lies and propaganda spread in service of Karen Reed's defense and amplified by Aidan Kearney with no concern for the lives that they were destroying. Tonight, we're going to walk through how Colin Albert became the scapegoat, how claims were amplified without evidence, how facts were distorted or ignored, and how a 17-year-old kid was sacrificed to protect someone else's defense. We're going to lay it all out tonight for you. And Julie's going to start for us. So take it away, Julie.
Yeah, it's so sad, right? I mean, so what we're going to show you guys first are texts that no one has seen before. These are texts between Aiden Carney and Karen Reed's intermediary. And this is how Colin was placed inside the house, right? So we all know that Colin was at 34 Fairview. He went to 34 Fairview to say happy birthday to his cousin, Brian Albert Jr. He left before Karen and John ever arrived. But his fateful going there was exploited by Karen, obviously. And these texts, I'm going to put the first one up. We're going to read them together. And we're all going to provide commentary, Jenny and Carrie and I, so that you guys can kind of understand what's going on here. So here's the first one, right? So in the blue, these are messages from Karen. They are being sent to Aiden. Aiden is in the gray. So they're saying sending it here, not emailing. It's Michael Lang's police report. There's the one last piece. Aiden is very upset about this. And to give you an idea, the date on these texts is April 23rd, 2023. So 5 days after his first piece on Karen Reed, he's going live this night. He's very upset. He needs to know that Colin was in the house. He needs to know that that actually happened. So to give you what's going on here behind the scenes. So he says, did you notice Colin Albert is not listed as being in the house? And Karen says, make sure he knows that the police report is public court record. You can quote it. So I don't know what you guys think about this, but you know, if she's saying this is public record, you can quote it, I would guess she's sending things to Aiden that weren't public record that he can't quote, because why would she say that? And so right. Aiden says, I know. And Karen says, tell him to show the blood in plastic cups, right? So Karen, from the very beginning, was like, we're going to make fools out of these people. You got to show the solo cups. And so Aiden is still focused on Colin. And he says, but did you notice that? Talking about Colin, that's what he's referring to. And he's like, I don't care about the blood in plastic cups. He's like, what does blood in cups prove? He was only mentioned as being present after David Yannetti told ADA Lally that we had proof he was there. Now, this is really important. I want you guys to remember this, because David Yannetti, from day one publicly, has said that the reason why he knew Colin was there and the reason why he knew Colin was involved was from Stephen Scanlon. So remember that. So Karen says they didn't admit Colin was present until the indictment grand jury in June. And this is correct. So Brian Albert said in his testimony that his nephew, Colin Albert, had been at the house, right? We know that Colin was there. No one is disputing that. He was there before Karen and John even arrived. So then Karen says, red Solo cups in a Stop and Shop bag in the CPD parking garage is not protocol for collecting DNA evidence. So you guys can all take that. So everything that we know about the Solo cups and all of that stuff, that was all Karen. From day one, she was trying to put this thing out there that the investigation was terrible. So that's the first one. Let's go to the next one. So here we have at the top the same thing. And then Aiden says in the gray, can you send that again? Hey, I need to talk to you ASAP. It's really, really important for me to know how we know Colin was in it's house, but he says youse. He's really upset about this, right? Because it's a 17-year-old kid that you're accusing of murder. Who wouldn't be upset about doing that? So one of them says 1 second, and he's like, sorry, I'm just running out, need to finish. The response is, and this is really important, everybody listen up, Tom Beatty, but I don't recommend burning Tom Beatty. So who is Tom Beatty? Carrie, you want to tell us who Tom Beatty is, or you want me to tell everybody who Tom Beatty is?
You can tell it. I didn't prepare, so I feel like you can.
Yep. So Tom Beatty is a Canton resident. Tom Beatty was connected to Karen. So Tom is connected to the Korans. If you guys remember from trial 1, when we got to hear all of Karen's text messages, the Korans are the Koran show. Remember Karen talking about that? She was planning a vacation with them.
He was friends with John as well.
What's that?
He was friends with John as well.
Yeah. So they were all friends. The Korans were described during testimony by John's niece as a bad influence. So you've got the Korans, you've got Tom Beatty. That's their connection to John and Karen. So according to Karen, at this point, and this is April 23rd of 2023, the connection for Colin in the house and being involved in John's murder is coming from Tom Beatty.
Who wasn't there that night, everybody?
Tom Beatty was not there. Yeah. Colin was there, but way before, I'll say way before, but it was before John and Karen arrived. So it's coming.
Right before.
Yep, he's coming. It's coming from Tom Beatty, not Stephen Scanlon, as David Yannetti has put in his official scenario, as he's put in his court paper, maybe not court papers, but his court arguments. It was Tom Beatty. And so Aiden says, I can't publish unless I know exactly how you know Colin was in that house. I can't do this via text. I don't know what that means. And I think I'm going to read into this. I think what Aiden is saying by I don't know what that means is you don't want to burn Tom Beatty. That's my interpretation.
He was really mad about this. You can tell. He was so close to doing the right thing.
Yeah, he was really close. He did the same thing with 227. He did. Yeah. In the beginning,
all of the lore of Dateline and you know her with her feds talk, whatever. But he was really close.
Yep.
This just reminds me of the interview she had with Ted Daniels. You know, it goes back to that where she said a lot of this came from local gossip.
I have that. Okay, so let's play that. Yes. So let's play how Karen's told Ted Daniels, and this is it's 2024, right? When she says for 2024, when Karen tells Ted Daniels after the Super Bowl.
No, was it 25?
No, I think it was 2025.
2025. So 2025. This is how Karen is telling the world she knows Colin was in the house.
I mean, there are names, and we know those names that were hidden from me. I only knew who was in that house from the rumor mill, from people I knew in Canton, and it ended up becoming true.
Yep. So there you go. I mean, that's how she knew Tom Beatty, the rumor mill in Canton. And she admitted it. She admitted it to the public. And so I think we were on the last bubble where Aiden says, I don't know what that means. I interpreted that for you guys. And then Karen comes back, and I love this one. And TB can't say, quote, the defense had a source that Colin was there. It's important for us and TB. So you guys can read into that what you want. But yeah, so there, Karen. So then it goes on. And then we have this one. And so we've got Aiden saying, dude, call me. Need to talk. Emergency. The response is, I can't. 1 second. And he says, well, I'm starting to lose confidence. Colin was in that house. I'm freaking out. I don't see how Tom could know Colin was in the house. And then the next
doesn't know. Just a gossip hound.
We're going to find out in a second what he put in his article, what may have happened in that conversation. But here's the last text that I have in that exchange. And again, these are texts nobody has seen. So this is obviously after they talked And it's Natalie the intermediary asking, did it all work out? So sorry, my parents just left now. And Aiden says, yeah, sorry about that. I just freak out and realize I never really figured out how I knew Colin was in the house. I really wish this man would have stopped there and questioned this woman. And he didn't. He just swallowed it. I think because he was hoping for, this fame and fortune she was promising him. And so the response is, no worries. My parents texted me last minute that they were stopping by. And then we go on to this. Did you realize a nurse was in that house, Levinson? So then we're going to go on and we're going to attack those people. But
rope more people.
Day, when he had that conversation, so he had an article come out and he had a live come out that night. And what he wrote in the article, and this is what we can surmise about the conversation that they had, was this. He says, sources we spoke with also informed Turtle Boy Daily News that Colin Albert called a 17-year-old girl he was friends with at 12:33 a.m. on the morning John O'Keefe was murdered. This is especially relevant given the cell phone data indicating that O'Keefe's body was moved at 12:31, which there is no cell phone data indicating that, guys. I mean, he just made that up out of.
Not only that, John, didn't they arrive at the house that was the time that he was hit by the car at 12.
That's just pure bullshit.
That's absurd.
The girl did not answer, but called him back the next day and was reportedly told, quote unquote, never mind. One can easily infer, and this is the point where Karen filled in that blank for Aiden, and then Aiden filled in this blank for everybody else and filled it in with something they could not possibly know. So one can easily infer that Colin Albert, who did not drive to 34 Fairview that night, was looking for a ride out of there. And I'm going to stop right here and tell you, at that point, the girl that he called did not have a license. So she could not have driven him out of there. And then it goes on to say, as the adults in the house were looking to protect their young. So, yeah, I think that's.
The girl, let me just interrupt for a sec, Julie, because the girl that he called had a get together at her house that night with a bunch of kids over. So one would probably imagine that a 17-year-old kid was probably calling for that reason or for any other reason we can imagine.
The way he says one can easily infer.
Can you imagine?
I would infer something very different.
So would I.
Much easier than what he's trying to, convince people that they should infer from this.
Right. And like Julie said, And like Julie said, the easiest answer, she didn't have her license. So he wasn't calling her for a ride.
But he didn't bother to check that.
Right.
No, the award-winning journalist did not check that. Yeah, no, he just swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. And so we have this other text, guys, and this is another important one. It looks like it might be a signal message. It's a screenshot of a message. Could be a Facebook message. Not really sure, but we're going to put this on the screen now. We're going to read it to you guys. Well, this is Karen. So let's go. So it starts out with Karen denigrating John's family, someone in John's family. So John never spoke to Leanne, and she never once came to Canton. She would know exactly nothing. She's from John's horrendously jealous and spiteful side of the family. I mean, Karen's always, right? I mean, wow. TB's response to her is so amazing. So I think whoever Leanne is, I think she messaged Aiden and said he had gotten it wrong. And Karen is obviously like relishing in whatever rude thing Aiden said back to her. I've read it 6 times. So now here we go, guys. Jen McCabe was calling Tom, and that's Tom Beatty, because Jen knew that Aaron Beatty was in contact with Colin just hours earlier. Now, I have to ask all of you, how at 5-something in the morning, when Jen has just supposedly been involved in a murder, would she possibly know who Colin was in contact with? I mean,
well, Julie, I don't, the rules. Like anytime anybody in the family texts anyone, they have
Yeah.
to report back to Jen.
Yeah.
Dear
Sure.
Auntie JJ,
Sure.
I
Yeah.
texted
Yeah.
Aaron Beatty.
Yeah, no calls from Colin, no text from Colin, but Jen she must have psychic awareness that just comes to her
She
that
does.
Colin was doing this. And again, we have this same thing where we had in the other text message, you don't want to burn Tom Beatty. This one says, I don't really want to expose Aaron, but that is why Jen kept calling over there to find out what the Beatties were aware of. So it's very interesting to me where she's kind of like hands off the Beatties, Karen is.
Well, she doesn't want to burn them because they're her little gossip hounds. Like they're feeding her all of this information that she can twist and give to him, and that, you know, Yannetti and Jackson can twist and put in filings. So of course she doesn't want to burn them.
Right. Yep. And Jen was calling over there in the morning after Karen called her screaming that John, she left him at the waterfall. Second, that, you know, he didn't come home because she was looking for John, and John and Tom were friends. I think he was even talking to them about meeting them at the waterfall that night. I'm pretty sure that he was talking to John. So Jen was looking for John, calling Tom, seeing if John crashed on his couch, whatnot. So Karen, you know, has an explanation for everything. Yep. So she's calling over, you know, Jen is calling over to Tom to see what he knows.
Yep. And then she goes on, and I hope you're listening, Tom, because this is how Karen talks about you to Aidan Carney. And the O'Keefes / McCabe's would like to spin a tale that I was hooking up with Tom. And then in parentheses, who half of Canton thinks is gay. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, Tom, but I'm saying this is the way Karen is speaking about you when you're not in the room. And then Karen says to Natalie, sorry, Nat, if you need a break from middleman duties, please say so. I can have John S. And that is John Silvera. He was in the ID documentary, The Body in the Snow. He was the person who said that he and Karen had several conversations about reaching out to Aidan Carney to, quote, you know, Turtle Boy. He refers to him as Turtle Boy. I can have John S. take over and give you a reprieve. So the important part of this is when Karen gets in contact with Aidan Carney, she is giving him one story, right? So she's giving him the story that how they know Colin was in the house is from this Tom Beatty person. At the same time, in court filings and in court arguments, David Yannetti, and in all of David Yannetti's interviews, he's giving a completely different source. According to David Yannetti, it was Stephen Scanley, not Tom Beatty.
Yeah, he had to make it sound more scandalous, right?
Correct. Well, David Yannetti would have never gotten anyone to believe anything by saying some guy that lives in the town of Canton told me some rumor because XYZ. But Stephen Scanlon was a far more, what would the word be? He would be far more palpable as far as being legitimate as a source.
Stephen, he knew Brian Albert, right?
Correct. So, and he knew Brian Albert. He had a career in law enforcement. He was a PI. And so David Yannetti said it several times in court. I'm not gonna produce all of the times he said it, but here is one really good description of David giving his argument in court about Stephen Scanlon.
When this case began, I had no idea who Colin Albert was. I received a tip right from the jump that Brian Albert and his nephew had beaten up John O'Keefe. I didn't even know Brian Albert had a nephew at that time. But after receiving the tip, I learned of the conflict that Colin Albert had with John O'Keefe, so I sent a letter to Mr. Lally, I believe by certified mail. I knew that the DA's office was planning to present evidence or witnesses to a grand jury, and at that early juncture, before anybody had asked them to indict, I notified the DA of 3 potential suspects, the ones that I'm talking about now: Brian Higgins, Brian Albert, and Colin Albert. After he received that.
Yeah. So David Yannetti, and so I'm going to go to his outside arguments, right? So this is not inside of court, but what he's saying outside. And we've heard, you probably have all heard him every time he's been interviewed. I'm not going to play the Dateline. I'm not going to play that stuff. But here is David Yannetti in Vanity Fair, which is the story he has given from day one, that it was Stephen Scanlon. And so he says that he got this tip, and it was from this gravelly voice person who is Stephen Scanlon. And that's how he knew that Colin was in the house.
So completely made up story.
Correct. And so we're going to go now to Stephen Scanlon's version of events, because Stephen Scanlon has a very different version of events, and they are actually memorialized for us in a police report. And so this police report is from October 17th of 2023. This first part, I'm not going to read it because you really don't need that part. But this is the part that we really want to go over. And so according to Stephen Scanlon, he reaches out to Karen via Facebook, and he just offers his services, right? So he's a PI, and he's like, hey, you're in some trouble. I can help you. Do you guys want me to read it line by line?
Just the high, or just the
Yeah,
parts
I mean, there's
important.
such good stuff in it. So just like, yeah, I mean, I wish I could help you. I just can't see it.
I can't
Yeah,
see
so
it either.
Even when I put my glasses on, it's even worse.
Yeah. So number 2, he's reaching out to Karen via Facebook Messenger, saying, hey, I'd like to offer my assistance. And she says, you got to contact my attorney. And so then number 3, Stephen contacts Yannetti, and he goes to Yannetti's office, and there's another individual present, and that is Paul Makowski. And Paul Makowski is the PI for David Yannetti for the Reed team. Interesting person. I would love to know more about Paul Makowski and his dealings in the Reed case. But according to Stephen, during this meeting, he just basically says, hey, I can help you with this. And it's Yannetti and Makowski telling him about Colin, and asking about Colin, and asking about Brian, and asking about Higgins. So this is really important when we get to number 3, because we know, based on what Karen told to Aiden, she already has a source named Tom Beatty who told her about Colin, because Scanlon says he doesn't know, he doesn't even know Colin Albert's name.
So Tom Beatty is the gravelly voiced man then, correct?
I don't.
Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, my personal opinion is Stephen Scanlon probably is a gravelly voiced man, and they were hoping to take this information that they had from Tom and hoping Stephen would agree to it and sign an affidavit for them. That's what I think they were hoping, that he would be like, yeah, like they would play, like he would play ball with them.
Right.
Maybe I've never heard Tom speak. Maybe he did. Maybe he disguised his voice. I don't really know. But I know
there was no gravelly voiced man.
Correct. I know for sure, based on this police report, Stephen Scanlon did not tell him that.
Right.
And I don't have the tape here, but we know that Aiden Carney wiretapped Stephen Scanlon. And during that wiretap, he told Aiden, I didn't even know who Colin was. I heard that name from you.
Right.
So Stephen Scanlon had no idea about Colin Albert. This was all them trying to get him to agree, because obviously Stephen would have more sway with a court and the court of public opinion. If you're saying a PI who is a former LE knows this for a fact, that Colin Albert was involved in that, that's more sway than just this knucklehead that lives in the neighborhood.
Well, especially when the knucklehead ends up getting questioned and people find out his daughter doesn't even have her license and things like that.
Correct.
So that's all going to fall apart really quickly.
Correct. And so, so the rest of this goes on and says, when Stephen was leaving, he offered, David Yannetti offered him a check. Stephen Scanlon goes on to ask his attorney about that, like, what do I do about this check? And the attorney says, you got to return it. So we don't know the conversation that Stephen had with his attorney, but obviously whatever that conversation was, the attorney said, hey, it's in your best interest to return that check. So then there's this person, and I've looked this person up. I'm not going to say anything about it, the things that I found, but this Jack Hollow person, he apparently is a bridge between Stephen Scanlon knew him, Paul Makowski knew this guy. And so this is a really good line. So Hollow shared information, so he's sharing information with Scanlon at this point. Hollow shared information which he had learned from Makowski. So again, Makowski is Reed's PI. He is the private investigator for David Yannetti, who is working on Karen's case. The information being that Yannetti and his team were looking into Colin Albert and the ATF agent, which we know is Brian Higgins, since Colin allegedly had, quote unquote, a beef. And we're going to go into that. Carrie's going to love to talk about that point with O'Keefe. I asked Stephen how come he did not reach out to investigators when he learned this information, to which he stated that everything he had learned was fourth and fifth and even sixth person removed from the source, that he did not think it would be credible. So Stephen is not going to the police with this, like, hey, they're asking me about this, they're telling me this, because he really has nothing. I mean, like, he's got nothing. And so 0.5, I don't think we need to go over that. Let's go over, whoops, sorry guys. 0.6, I just want to get to the point where he's talking about, so in 0.6, Stephen says his opinion is that O'Keefe looked like he could have been beaten up. And so this is what I want to tell you. People are saying, how could Stephen Scanlon possibly know after the arraignment, the day of the arraignment, because according to David Yannetti, he called him after the arraignment that he was beaten up. And I want to play for you guys what his injuries were according to the prosecution at the arraignment. This was televised. It was on a Facebook feed. It could have been. So Aaron, Paul Makowski is the private investigator for David Yannetti. So he is the private investigator that worked on this case for Karen Reed. And so when people say there's no way that Stephen Scanlon would know about John's injuries, this was all over the place that day. So I'm going to play it right now.
Victim, they observed approximately 6 bloodied lacerations varying in length on his right arm, the cuts extending from his forearm to his bicep. Both of the victim's eyes were swollen shut and black and blue. They observed a cut to the right eyelid area of the victim. Observed his clothing to be blue jeans, an orange t-shirt, a long sleeve shirt, and boxer shorts that were saturated with blood and vomit. They observed one black Nike sneaker with a white Nike logo on the sides belonging to the victim. On the 31st, the troopers attended the autopsy of Mr. O'Keefe at the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. The doctor performed the autopsy, Dr. Scorty below, advised of several abrasions to the right forearm, 2 swollen black eyes, a small cut above the right eye, a cut to the left side of his nose, approximately 2-inch laceration to the back of his head, multiple skull fractures that resulted in bleeding, and further advised that the victim's pancreas was a dark red color, indicating that hypothermia was a contributing factor to his death.
So John's injuries were very, very public from the day that Karen was arraigned. So I would guess that Stephen heard them during the arraignment. It's not a big secret. It was all over the place. Carrie, you might be able to attest to this. This was a news story when John was found. So this was not a secret. And her being arraigned.
Yeah, it was really big here.
Yeah, you're talking about a Boston cop, not a secret, not something that people in that area would not be exposed.
I mean, what you just showed was on every news station.
Correct.
All day, all day long, every news segment.
Correct. So David Yannetti is saying this guy called him after the arraignment. Just about every injury that John had was detailed during that arraignment. It was not a secret. Aidan Kearney would like you to believe that no one knew anything about John's injuries until he started reporting. That is simply not true. So Stephen goes on and he says he was asked if he ever had a phone conversation with Aidan Kearney. Now, I'm going to kind of skip around this. So Stephen did talk to Aidan Kearney. It was in June of 2023. And before I finish this, I'm going to show you a clip from Aidan Kearney's show before this conversation occurred. I'm going to actually show you two clips from Aidan Kearney's live show. This is about 2 months after Karen had said she knows for sure Colin was in the house because of Tom Beatty. But now Karen needs something else, and somebody else is involved other than Steve Scanlon. And you're gonna get it real quick when you see these clips. Again, this is June of 2023. After this show airs, there is a phone conversation that takes place. Aidan Kearney wiretaps Stephen Scanlon during this conversation. So here's the first clip.
Jay sends 10 and says, has anyone talked to Stephen Scanlon about his investigation and who in the house told him 2 men killed John O'Keefe and why he is remaining silent? So you said an interesting name there, donor, Stephen Scanlon. That's going to be a name we're going to get to know. Stephen Scanlon and his involvement in this. Because Stephen, I know things, my dude. So you sent me a friend request. I sent you a message back. I don't know if you've defriended me. Let's see. If you messaged me back, let's see. Has he messaged me back? Let's see. He has read the message. Maybe he's watching now. Maybe he's not. Interesting. He's at the West of Center right now in West Roxbury. I like the West of Center. That's the place that Krusty Panties pointed me at. Call me, Steve. We got something to talk about.
So now before I play the second part, I want you to look at this text. So this text, again, between Karen and Aidan, this is about that show. And it is Aidan asking Karen, was that you who sent in the turtle chat about Scanlon? You saw that, how in the beginning of it, he started that rant based on a turtle chat that he had.
Like, do you guys understand how I can't even think of the word, how set
Coordinated.
Coordinated. All of their nonsense is, like, even his turtle chats, like, look at what Julie's showing.
I'm so glad you had this, Julie, because I was like, digging for it, because that's exactly what was going through my mind, was this text.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
And so Karen responds, Erica Davis. Erica Davis is the person who owns the Star Theater Drive-In. Is it Star Theater? I don't know what it is. It's a drive-in. She owns that. She has hosted several fundraisers where they have people come and set up tents. She's a big Karen Reed supporter, but that's Erica Davis. So here is Karen and Natalie admitting we told Erica Davis to do it. So Karen Reed told somebody else, hey, send a turtle chat, ask about Stephen Scanlon. And then the next reply, I like this just, I can't. I mean, it's just so much. The turtle chat is on YouTube, right? And Turtle Boy, I can't call him that either. Aiden is like, what do you mean? The response is Erica Davis set up a different YouTube about and asked on your YouTube feed a few shows ago, who is Stephen Scanlon? This is really important, you guys. We were hoping that I think it should have been we'd stir the pot. This was on purpose. They wanted people to talk about Stephen Scanlon. They also wanted to put Stephen Scanlon in a position that was very uncomfortable because Karen needed something from Stephen Scanlon to advance.
And if you think this is the only time this has happened,
Right.
no way.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
this is just
right.
one example, I'm sure, that we have, thankfully, of many.
right. And so there is a second person involved in this. You guys are going to recognize him. And here's the second part of Aiden on that show, and another person that they needed something from at the same time who eventually acquiesced.
So there's two names here. We gotta get to Mr. Lucky and we gotta get to Mr. Steven. They should, again, it is in your best interest, Steven and Mr. Lucky, to contact me. Like, let's just put it that way. Easy way and a hard way, sirs. Easy way and a hard. We can do things the way you've been doing them, or we can do them the Turtle Boy way. Like, I know whatever you're probably afraid, right? You don't want to come forward. You fear the Alberts, but you should fear me. Like, not like physical fear, but like I said, the Alberts fear me much more than I fear them, because I have the ability to severely change their lives. And that goes for you too, Stephen. And that goes for you too, Mr. Lucky. We don't have to get into that yet. But I know your friends are going to send this to you. I just want you to know, you've wanted to keep a low profile for a reason. I get it. I'm not going to allow it anymore. Just know that. The jig is up. Time's up. You've had the chance to do the right thing. So now you've chosen not to, and now I'm giving you an ultimatum. You need to contact me and do the right thing, and you're going to have a conversation with me, or Brian Albert finds out what you did, and then you can deal with him. I heard he's real friendly. I heard he's real nice. Yeah, you can deal with it. He doesn't know, does he? He doesn't know what you did. He doesn't know what you did, does he? Huh? He's going to find out. He's going to find out, and I got proof. So we'll see. Yeah.
Yep. So you guys heard that, right?
He has so much bravado for a 5'4" little. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust the. I'll leave it at that. He has a lot to say for someone that's his size.
So Julie, I just wanted to correct. I don't think Erica Davis is the one that owns the Starlight Drive-In.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think that was, if I remember correctly, and I'm pretty certain, was Karen Ahern's like fake name on Facebook.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
You're probably right. So
you got that wrong.
Yeah, so let me correct the record. It's not the Starlight Drive-In. It's probably that other person.
Karen, that's who it is.
Yeah, these things are so hard to follow because there's so
many people. There's so many people.
Yeah. But the point is,
right.
We've got two competing narratives, right? So the narrative in court from David Yannetti is this is coming from Stephen Scanlon. And the narrative from Karen is she got it from Tom Beatty, and Tom Beatty told her. And we know that Karen had that when she was arrested and indicted for murder, because she said it. Should we play that video too? Where she says it's Colin Albert. You want to play that one? Okay, let's
You
do
have
that.
it?
Yep, I got it.
Taking a life. Okay, so that's the charges that you're being charged with now, and you were indicted by grand jury.
Okay, you're aware he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert. I mean, we're all in on the same joke, right? My taillight was cracked and John was pulverized.
Okay, you need to abide by the rights that were afforded to you. Okay, so you can talk if you want. If you want to tell us what happened, that's fine. We'll listen, but you were ready to your rights, okay? And I'm sure he's gonna.
Yeah. So in June of 2022, Karen is already implicating Colin.
Yeah.
So that's before anything. And either she made that up in her head or she heard that from somebody. And I would say, according to Karen, it came from Tom Beatty. Yeah.
And Yuri, always the gentleman.
Yeah. You know, in my opinion, they were always so kind to her.
Yeah, I
And
think
they
they were
were
really kind to her and
deferential to her. I thought it was really interesting in that Rotten Mangoes interview that she went into that like soliloquy about, her suits in the closet, and she was always so professional. That all came from Body in the Snow in the ID documentary. The footage that Rotten Mango showed, or the audio that they played, nobody had heard that before, where Karen is telling them where to get her pants.
right.
And that they're at the foot of the bed. And that's exactly what Yuri got. He got for her exactly what she asked for. But during that interview, she tried to make it like they were trying to embarrass her or give her like terrible pants to wear. And that is absolutely not what happened. Yuri,
They're always out to get her. So of course they want to, give her bad clothes.
Yep.
Because everyone wants to wear a three-piece suit to
Everyone.
jail.
Right. I mean, if I'm going to jail, like I want to,
Yeah.
for sure.
I want to be in my best.
Yeah. No, I'd probably be in like, I don't know, terrible.
I get a very similar outfit, like what I would ask for what she asked for. She asked for jeans, she had flip-flops.
she's
That's
lucky
like
she
the
got anything
perfect
she asked
outfit.
for. I mean, they dragged, Patriots player Aaron Hernandez out of his house in, shorts and threw a t-shirt over him with his hands cuffed. It was barely on him. I mean, and that's Patriots player. So she's very lucky that, she
wanted,
yeah, she got to get her clothes.
She wanted her hair straightener and her makeup bag and color coordinated.
Her tailored sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
The police don't do that for anybody. They really don't
No.
care. And she should not care. Like if I was being charged with murder,
Can you imagine?
the last thing on my mind would be like, what do I look like right now?
That would be
It would be
hyperventilating on the ground, literally.
correct.
Right.
Correct. It would be like, oh my God, my life is over. What's going to happen to my kids? What's going to happen to my husband? What's going to happen to my family? Like it would not be like, can you see my pants? Like, and I don't wear pants. I only wear dresses. So I would dress.
Get my dress.
Yeah, but yeah, can you go and find my anthropology dress? It's like the tag says Maeve, and can you do this? Like, no, and like who would expect?
The entitlement is insane,
Yeah.
and she doesn't even realize it. Like she
No.
talks about it like it's normal, and to
Like she
normal
deserves
people,
it.
we're listening to this like, what is wrong with this chick? But she doesn't realize it. She truly
No.
is that entitled. Like she thinks they should have dug through her. I mean, obviously we know she's lying at this point, right? Because we know what she really asked for. But she's trying to convince people that they should have dug through her closet to find a color coordinated outfit for her so she could go to jail.
She's nuts. She's nuts.
Nuts.
She absolutely is nuts. And so now you guys can see how Colin, this 17-year-old kid, and Karen is how many years old at this point? 40,
maybe 40.
41?
Yep.
40? Yeah.
Got dragged into this. So you've got somebody who is 24 years his senior, at least, who is dragging this kid into this. And then we all know what happened to Colin afterwards. I mean, the abuse of Colin, the harassment of Colin was just next level. I've never seen anything like it. And I can't even imagine as a kid what that would be like. And we all know, and they all like to make fun of it, but we know what happened with the disc. Can you imagine being Colin's age? And people are throwing things around all around town, and even on John's lawn where his niece and nephew live, that Colin did it. And so I want to show you guys another video, and this is Tom, CPU. This is the same person. We've had this video where he threatened Colin Albert, threatened her children, her future
unborn children.
Born children. So this is Tom CPU. We know the person that was charged was Richard Schiffer. Richard Schiffer was not alone in these activities. So let's take a look at this because it's really creepy.
Awesome to me. Thank you for that. I love the members. Nice. New member. You guys are awesome. Put this on my phone here. That focusable. Can you focus on that? Yeah? Okay.
This makes me so mad.
Yep.
I can't even, and that.
Yep.
The way that all of these lunatics pretend how nothing that is and how funny it is, and it says Colin is a murderer on it.
Correct.
Putting it all over his, I mean, it is, you know, I was just thinking when Julie was just talking about what a young kid, I mean, we all know the witnesses, people know that, it's not a secret now. I spend time with a lot of them, and it's unbelievable to me how all of them, you know, because they're adults, right? And they always say, you know, they, you know, not that they, I mean, for them too, their lives have been destroyed. Brian Albert had to retire. He had an amazing career as a Boston police detective. Brian Higgins is an ATF agent, undercover. He can't work undercover anymore. I mean, I don't, you know, how can he go out there and do anything that he used to do? Both of those two guys had stellar careers. I mean, Drew from the Comm Center talked about it last night. He looked all these guys up. They are decorated dudes. That's not a joke, right? Both of them. And they always all talk about Colin, right? Because we know how old he is now, right? Free Karen Reed, because you're always saying it, right? That he's an adult now, whatever. He was 17. I don't care how old he is now. I don't care. He was 17 years old when you all did this to him. I mean, and you can see how it was all planned, right? She wasn't even mentioning Brian Higgins' name then, right? Does everyone notice that? Brian Higgins, she did not, you know, drag him into this and destroy him, I think, until the trial almost, right? Pretty close to the trial last year.
Yeah.
2 years ago, the first trial. Because I think she was, for whatever reason, trying to stay away from him, right?
Well, she was embarrassed.
She thought it would make her look bad with those texts and everything.
And not embarrassed because of Brian Higgins. She was embarrassed because she did not want to be seen as a cheater.
Right.
It was about her reputation. That's what she's concerned about.
which
Yeah,
is
and
so,
I
right.
wouldn't say embarrassed. I would say she was trying to protect her image.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think she's
Yes.
embarrassed about what she did.
Yes.
It was her
Right. You're
image.
probably right. Right.
Yes.
But, I mean, she destroyed all of these people, guys. I mean, all of them. Like, and I mean, Jen McCabe's a whole other episode that we'll do. Like, we can't even, if we could talk about what's been done for her for hours. But I mean, those three guys, like she, as Alan Jackson said, I mean, she just destroyed them all.
Yeah.
And she doesn't care. She's
No,
still doing. She's still trying to do it.
Mhm.
Anything she will. I mean, not to get into everything that's gone on this week, but you know, these other people that may have been involved in whatever was going on at the federal level. Do you think she cares that any of that has come out?
No.
She doesn't care.
No. She's already she's gotten what she needed out of everyone. You know, she may on a surface level act like she does if she's still talking to them and everything, you know, to their face. But does she truly care?
No, she doesn't.
She doesn't.
No.
She doesn't care about any of this.
No, like her mother said in the ID documentary, The Body in the Snow, Karen has always been a very good advocate. So her mother put it very nicely, the way a mother would, a very good advocate for herself. And Karen has told you, like she that's what she does. Like she fights, like she's a fighter and she's going to get what she wants. Like she is, what is that story, you guys? The girl where she steals the spelling bee, like she lost the spelling bee. What is the name of that story? Maybe somebody in the chat knows. You guys, you know what I'm talking about? Where she pushes the kid off the roof because she wants the spelling bee thing.
That is.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to look it up. Like that's
Did you say roof?
Yeah, she. Yes, I'm sorry. That's my Midwest accent. Oh my God. I'm going to have to look it up.
Yeah, I don't know that story.
Oh my God. You guys do know it.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You know it. You know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
Okay.
It's
no one in the chat knows either.
Stop, you guys. It's like a really big, like maybe it's the wrong generation. Like I'm talking about like the 70s.
I'm your generation.
Hold on. Let me put it into like Chat GPT.
Yeah, it's like Lydia or Tuesday just said in the chat under the forensic room. They think because it's rubber duckies that it's fun and not disgusting harassment. You know,
right.
You know, oh, it's so cute. It's just a ducky. I mean, it says he murdered someone on it. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, that's what they all said, you know, and they all tried to minimize the fact that they put them on. All right, this is not helping me because probably my it's giving me like real life. This is like fiction, you guys.
Yeah, I can't find it either. I'm trying and I cannot find it.
God, it's like this perfect little girl and she wants to win the spelling bee and then they go like they're having lunch and she pushes the kid that won. Like their two mothers are having lunch and she pushes the kid that won off the roof. This is a 70s story. Sorry, guys.
I mean, that's literally Karen.
What the hell was what? Oh my God. It's like evading me. But anyways, I'll figure it out. I'll post it on Twitter.
It's her first about everybody else. And it does not matter what she has to do to these people.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. I can't believe that I can't. Oh my God, what was it? But yeah, it was a very popular story in the 70s. They made a movie. I watched it, obviously.
It definitely stuck with you.
It did.
Yes, it stuck with me because that little girl scared the shit out of me. And I think Karen Reed is that little girl. She's
Was it the Bad Seed? Was it called The Bad Seed?
Bad Seed? Yes, that's it. That's it. Yes, The Bad Seed. the bad seed.
I remembered it when she just said the girl scared her.
Yes, it's the bad seed. So if you guys can watch the 70s version of that movie, like that little girl scared the shit out of me, and I was probably her age when I watched it.
She
The
looks
bad
scary.
seed is Karen Reed. Karen Reed is the bad seed. Her mother put it in a very nice light, the way we mothers do. But yeah, she takes her grammar
She
seriously.
loves her grammar.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe her financial transactions, maybe we should change that. But what happened to Colin is unforgivable, and it's unconscionable. And it was all based on this person in Canton. I don't know if he regrets what he did. He really should. He has children.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
Just based on present day
most of the
action.
stories, you guys, right? I mean, I'm not going to go off on a whole other, on a side thing here, but most of the stories, the dog and being buried in the pool, and they all came from Canton people.
Correct.
Most of the stories really, really did. Just like she said on Ted Daniels, that's where most of the gossip stories came from.
The dog in the pool was
Ashley Bell.
that right.
It was Ashley Bell. And none of these people, Ashley Bell was on the witness list in the first trial. I don't know about the second trial. Tom Beatty and Aaron Beatty were also on the witness list. None of these people that were telling these stories would have stood up on the stand.
They were never going to call any of them.
Yeah, they would never call them, because this was all gossip, speculation, innuendo. It was nothing that belongs in a court of law. And it's really sad to see these people that were neighbors, and for what? What did you do it for? Why?
Yeah.
I mean, why?
Yeah, in 10 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, what are you going to look back and think? Like, what, you were popular with some pink people that stood in front of a courthouse in front of their pajamas? I mean, or in their pajamas? Like, what was, you're going to hopefully look back on your life and regret that you did this. I mean, Colin can never, ever, ever get that time back that he lost.
Never.
And
Never.
It's one thing, like you kind of talked about it a little bit, Carrie, being an adult and dealing with this.
You're just more equipped to deal with it, right?
Right.
And that's what I was trying to get across. They're more, I think that's what they've said now that you said that they're more equipped to deal with it. They're adults. And they're still affected by it. I mean,
of course. But all of those adults had their college experiences.
Yes.
They had, their young adulthood. They have their jobs, their families, their whatever. These are kids. Colin is a kid just starting out. And now he has to go, not even just missing out on the college experience. Imagine him going to apply for a job and having to put his name down, Colin Albert.
Yeah.
And he has been all over the news, all over getting a job, having a job, sitting there, and then, you don't know what the people,
these weirdos,
what these people you're working with are thinking of you. New employees coming in, how are they going to act towards you? Everybody knows your name because of Karen Reed.
Right.
And you did nothing wrong. That is his life. That is their life every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's grotesque.
And when I think about, I'm, when you listen to Aidy Carney, whatever the hell his name is.
I know. I never know which way to say it.
Yeah. And he gets really upset when you pronounce it the wrong way. So I'm happy to pronounce it either way. He talks about his college years. He had a great time.
Yeah, that's great.
Got in a lot of fights, which he accused, Colin of. Sold fake Viagra. So he was illegally selling a drug while he was on a college campus. Supposed drug. I don't know what he had, if he had the non-prescription version. Colin didn't get any of that. Aiden Carney and Karen Reed stole the college experience from Colin Albert. And for him to sit there and say, nobody was hurt, nobody, you know, like nobody's upset, nobody's scared, nobody was hurt, like, you know, like this is ridiculous, I'm just talking. Like, dude, like imagine, like you sit there and reminisce about when you were in college, and you took that from somebody else. Like you took that doesn't come for free. You don't just get that. You don't get to do that. There's going to be a price to pay, son. So get ready.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, you alter people. Colin is not the person now that he would have been had none of this happened to him.
Correct.
They have literally altered this kid's personality, his thoughts, his feelings, he is not the same I've never met him. I don't know personally anything about him, but I do know what things like this do to people. You're never the same. You are not the same person you would have been had something like this not happened to you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's disgusting if you think about it. Like at the core, they have changed who he is. And what right do they have to do that to someone?
Right. So Brenda said, I just want to put this up there, forensic. This sounds like Natalie and Karen talking before Natalie would send stuff to Aiden, to be honest. So I'm sorry, I did cut off the top of some of these. They were definitely to Aiden Carney. So this was Aiden with Natalie. I think the one was still Aiden with Natalie. They were all Aiden to Natalie. And then we've got Chick from the Bricks. And she says, can Tom Beatty be served during Colin lawsuit when he files? You know what? That's a really good question. It's not for us to answer. So that's for the lawyers that are involved with this. But
I would assume all of these people will be called.
I got to tell you,
they're going to want to figure out where it all came from and how this all, I mean, look what we just showed. I mean, it's all nonsense. So they'll want to show that.
Right. It's all documented.
Thank God for Natalie, right? Like,
right.
I mean, none of the, you know, there's so many people that, you know, realized, you know, what this truly was and did the right thing.
And so this is another good point, especially for boys. And I thought it was 27, but MSJ 9556 says your brain doesn't fully develop until you're 24. You are 24. Yep, it's your 20s when that happens. He can't even process this as an adult. And so when people get on me when I say, you know, somebody that's 21, 22, 23, 24 is still a kid, I'm not wrong. Just so you know, as far as developmentally, I'm not wrong. That's not an adult. I understand the way the law sees it, but you're not. And I really do think for males, it's 27, but it might be 24. I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. And as far as Chick from the Bricks with this comment about Tom Beatty, I would be worried about being deposed. I would also be worried about being sued. Like, you know, I mean, there are people that have really, I think they got caught up in the hysteria and got caught up in the attention. These people were getting attention and they were like, it was like a drug for them. And they just, we've seen some of them that we haven't shown, but they were sending ridiculous things. And Karen was just feeding into it. Like, I mean, we showed the one that was from Ashley where she's talking about the pool. Like, I mean, this, you guys, this went on and on and on. And
crazy. I mean, we watched it just, I wish we had the clip. Speaking about everybody getting attention, we watched, I think the three of us watched it together, the clip of, I can never say their names right, the Greeks,
Kolakithis, yes.
The last trial when she testified, coming out of the courthouse, everyone clapping, surrounding her, handshake line like it's in a wedding. I mean, and they were loving it. They were loving it. And
That's so embarrassing though. Like I don't have that personality. Like
I can't even
I
imagine.
would be so like I would be running the opposite direction.
Right? Me too.
Yeah. I mean, like if you knew me in real life, like I am an introvert. I like to stay in my house. Like you got to drag me out of my house. Like,
Right. I mean, I feel like all of us are like this, and that we're
Yeah.
even doing this show is like, I mean, like we've talked
Oh,
about.
it's not it's not easy.
It's
Like
not,
every
right.
day, like when I know, Thursday, Friday comes, like we're gonna have a show, I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do
Right.
it. I can't do it.
right, right.
For reasons like tonight, because I mean, I saw the chat going like, no one knew these things. They were so thankful to see it. I mean, this is the stuff that really people need to know this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it matters a lot. And I hope that you guys take screenshots of what you saw and share them on social media. Unfortunately, we have a smaller group, and we get drowned out sometimes by the FKR people, but the truth is the truth, and we need to share it. You guys need to share it. You need to keep repeating it to the people that are saying these other things. It's just not true. Colin was there to say happy birthday to his cousin, which is really, really sweet because they have a close family. And he left before.
Another thing, right, Jewel, that they've always said, all the free Karen Reed freaks and whatnot, is, how crazy it is that this 17-year-old kid, think of, he's 17, that he went over to see Brian Albert Jr. For like however long he stopped in for. He was only there for a little bit. And it's all these, 40, 50-year-old women saying that, which, yes, I would not do that. I would not, whatever, but 17-year-olds would, 18-year-olds would, 24-year-olds would, 25-year-olds would. Like, they're children, they're still kids. Like, of course he would bounce over there for an hour, say hi. And they all live 5 minutes from each other.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you've ever known like a close family, like everybody talks about quote unquote the cousins, right? And so we live like an hour away from our family. But I got to tell you, like if it was our family and my nephews and nieces, because they all live close and they do stuff like that, and it was my kids, they would do the same exact thing. The difference is we're an hour away. So
whenever they say things like that, I'm always like, yeah, of course you wouldn't. You're 55 years old,
Right.
woman calling a 17-year-old kid a murderer and saying, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And
right. And that young cousin group, they're like, I mean, maybe they don't understand it because they don't have it in their family, but that happens. And it doesn't surprise me that Colin would do that at all.
No. And Allie was out with her friends and she's driving around and
so poor Allie, like, she's drawn into this. She loves Colin. That's her friend. He's part of her extended family, right? So on the other side, she's not related to him, but he's part of that. And she's crying on the stand because they're doing all these things to Colin, and not just Colin. Like I want you guys to understand, it was Allie and every single McCabe girl. And it wasn't just Allie and every single McCabe girl. It was Colin. I think they left the oldest in that family alone. They went after Dylan. They went after Brian Albert's kids. Brian Albert's kids, who were, I'm not going to say their names because you don't need to know them, but they were also affected. These people affected this generation. And I really wish I would have clipped it. I do not have it, but there is a clip and it's part of Aiden Carney's charges where he's talking about going after the second generation. He and this rabid group of followers affected so many people and so many innocent people, and destroyed lives. I can't even imagine. I've finally gotten my kids to where they are adults. My youngest, and I'm going to get it wrong, I think he's 23. He could be 22 or 24. I don't know for sure. I think he's 23, but I cannot even imagine trying to get my kids through something like this. The worst thing that happened to us was my father died, and then Sam's best friend was murdered. Those things were hard enough. Now imagine somebody is accusing somebody in your family that age of being a murderer and trying to move forward with all those people. That I can't, that is
and that's why, like you just said, it's all of them. So everything we've said about Colin, this show specifically is about Colin, but everything we've said about him, you know, the course of his life changed, everything, that's for every single, I mean, Jen McCabe's 4 daughters have to hear every single day that their mother's a murderer. Brian Albert's kids all have to hear that he's a murderer. Brian Higgins' family, like these people, and it just affects, I mean, I don't think people think about that enough.
Well, yeah. And understand too, it's not just them, right? It's their whole family.
Right.
So they don't ever get a break. So let's say, you know, the harassment lets up a little bit on one of them. They're still feeling the pain for everybody else that it's happening to.
Right.
You never have a break because it's not only you, it's everybody else you love. So every single day you're trying to cope not only with what's happening to you, but what's happening to everyone that you love. I mean, that is an impossible situation. These people, I can't even get into how disgusted I am.
I always think about that video. I wish we had it. There's so many things that I want to show on the show, but the video of Brian Albert just trying to have lunch somewhere, and this lunatic with her, you know, just
That
having
video makes me so mad.
a bullhorn. And I just always think about, you know, first of all for him, but like I said, he's an adult, whatever. I'm you know, I'm sure it was horrible for him, but I'm sure he was even more worried about, which is who I think about, his children, right? How to see
seeing that on
like,
social media.
oh my God, I can't even imagine. And then him and, you know, Nicole having to comfort all their children, and after them seeing that, and I can't imagine what that does to them. I just can't imagine what it does to their heads. I can't.
Yeah, and so many people, and when I say so many people, I'm talking about content creators. So content creators were so quick to jump on this quote unquote conspiracy and include Colin in that. And why did they do that? Because they got clicks and they got likes and they got views. And what does that lead to? It leads to money. And so they were willing to slander this kid and to just completely smear this kid for a couple of bucks. And it's really, really disgusting. I can't. And the saddest thing is a lot of them had kids this age. Yeah. So they knew damn well, and they still did it. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
That's another thing that, you know, I was looking at posts today, just, you know, because we were coming in to do this show, and I was thinking about how when, you know, because I mean, their lawyers have already said it, and I assume, you know, everyone knows their lawyers said it to the media. I mean, they're going to be sued for defamation, clearly. 100%. The lawyers announced it. I mean, it's not, you know, they have other things, obviously, that they're taking care of right now. They're being sued by another lunatic. But I remember when, and I think it was Aiden, and it was just random all of a sudden. Colin hadn't really been on the radar for a while, and it was a Colin did it post and told everyone else to whatever. Do you remember that? How many?
Yep.
And I was thinking, like, that's almost like, there's a word for it and I can't think of it. I want to say gang stalking, but that's not what it is. Where that is like such a thing that will be used in court, you know, things like that, you know, he did, and then just the followers, right? That just like destroyed.
I remember, like, we were just clipping and clipping and clipping and clipping all of the tweets that came after his.
Yes. Hundreds.
And I think he's led people, and I'm going to say, you know, I'm talking to this little group of content creators that he's curated. He has led you to believe that you can do all these things and you're allowed to do it. And maybe you are. That doesn't mean
you have them, Jewel.
that, yeah, oh, that's awesome. That doesn't mean that someday you're not going to have to answer for what you did. And so just put that in your back pocket, because
Yeah, hope it was.
I mean,
worth
it's all
the money.
memorialized. It's all memorialized. It's all.
Yep. I mean, look at this. And those people, it's amazing. These are the same people that will be like, well, Karen is factually innocent. And before the trial, like, you can't say that because she hasn't, like, nothing's been proven in a court of law. And yet here are all these people that are condemning Colin with absolutely no evidence, no due process.
Oh, yeah.
No evidence. Here it is.
Yeah.
And they're the same people that will shout from the, rooftop that you can't convict somebody until they've had their day in court. So,
right.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Which, speaking of day in court, they were never allowed to bring Colin into the second.
That's a good point. That's a very good point, Jenny.
Yeah. Which, should we play that video?
I think we should. I think we should.
Hank's argument as to why Colin, he argued beyond this, obviously, but tonight we're talking about Colin. So we're just playing the part about Colin where he is arguing third-party culprit and why Colin should not be included in that.
Yes, let's do that.
Third-party culprit aspect of Bowden. We received some information from the defense that does not distinguish whether their intention is that it applies to third-party culprit or whether it applies to a third-party culprit aspect of Bowden. Those concepts are logically and legally distinct. Regardless, when you look at the proffer by the defense, it is insufficient and inadequate for both third-party culprit and for any third-party culprit aspect of Bowden. Two different analyses, but the evidence is equally feeble for both. Relative to third-party culprit evidence, there are a number of cases that I know Your Honor is aware of that guide the standard of third-party culprit evidence. Not to iterate the law because it is clear, but there must be relevance, there must be a substantial nexus between the claims of the defense and the third-party culprit theory. They provided us 3 people that they identify as third-party culprits. It's helpful just for a quick synopsis of the history. In this case, prior to the first trial, the defense never identified a third-party culprit. At some point, the defendant herself said that they knew who the third-party culprit was, and recently the position of the defense has shifted that they don't know and don't need to know. Now, the law accommodates specifically identifying somebody. It also accommodates general, but it has to have specificity in the complaint. There has to be a motive, an opportunity, and an intention. There has to be evidence that draws the correlation. It can't be bad character, speculative, or just putting out information that's negative towards a witness so that that can backdoor prior bad acts against a witness and be used for a different purpose. They identified one person, Colin Albert. And in their proffer, what they offer, number one, it's important to take them separately because it shows how feeble it actually is. The first thing they say about Colin Albert is he had a feud with John O'Keefe in the weeks and months leading up to January 29, 2022. Now, other than maybe on social media or in interviews with the defendant and national broadcasts, there's no evidence of that. There's no evidence that's going to be admitted at this trial that shows there was a feud between Colin Albert and John O'Keefe. There is no evidence that there was any hostility between Colin Albert and John O'Keefe. There's no evidence of a motive to kill John O'Keefe by Colin Albert. There is no evidence of any motive, of any intention, or of any opportunity whatsoever. In fact, the evidence is that Colin Albert was not even at 34 Fairview at the time John O'Keefe arrived there on January 29, 2022. And so simply saying it is not evidence. And an attorney should not be allowed to confront a witness about an allegation that has no factual basis for them to then have to defend the accusation. The prejudice then seeps to the jury, and the Commonwealth is in a position having to disprove a claim that had no basis to begin with. The second claim that they make regarding Colin Albert is that he had thrown beer cans in Mr. O'Keefe's bushes and told Mr. O'Keefe to F off in his face. There is no basis for those claims. There is no witness for those claims. There's no information regarding those claims. I understand there may have been a party where there was beer cans, but there was no Colin Albert. So to attribute a situation or an incident to him, the defense would need some good faith proof, actual proof, fact, that this actually happened. And there's no evidence whatsoever that Colin Albert threw beer cans in Mr. O'Keefe's bushes and told him to F off. And the reason there's no proof is because it didn't happen. So again, the defense asks for an invitation to simply cross-examine a witness, allege a prior bad act, and then the witness has to defend their honor and the government has to disprove it. That is not the cloth that third-party culprit is made from. Regarding the suggestion that there was some type of feud or tough relationship, I saw on a video that there were two radio personalities, and I have the clip, who spoke and met with Karen Reed, and during the conversations, at least they relayed that there was some claims about a drug issue, and according, not to the defendant, but according to the interviewers who supposedly interviewed her, they said that the story is completely false. They attribute this to Karen Reed. People are trying to make it more dramatic, like Colin would have a reason to hate John O'Keefe. That never happened, referring to some drug claim. He did not report him for anything. And so what we know is there is no history of animosity between Colin Albert and John O'Keefe. We know that there was no animosity between his family and John O'Keefe. The only event known is that at some point, Colin Albert's younger brother ran across John's lawn. Mr. O'Keefe supposedly yelled at him and then bought him candy as an apology. That's it. So we have an alleged third-party culprit, a very strong claim, with no evidence, no motive, no opportunity, not even present at the time that this alleged collision occurred. And so in that absence of evidence, it's not even feasible. Colin Albert should not be brought to the stand, attacked with acts that didn't occur, that otherwise would have no admissibility. Really, it seemed to be a backdoor way to tarnish his reputation and then bind him with other people the defense would like to attack, to make a general suggestion that somehow this group of people are bad people. I know at the last trial, there was pictures of Colin Albert's knuckles that were scraped, and inevitably it turns out that picture, I think the exhibit was a trial, was taken much later. Pictures taken before that point showed that Colin Albert's knuckles on the 9th and 11th of February weren't scraped at all. So because he had scraped knuckles, subsequently, because he may have done a video that some youths would maybe do and threaten somebody else, not John O'Keefe, has nothing to do with this case whatsoever. It's an attempt to introduce alleged aggression or prior bad acts, but there's no bind whatsoever. The second person.
Yeah, so we know that he won that argument. She did allow for Higgins and Brian Albert, but she said it was, basically by the skin of their teeth. But Colin was not allowed to be included in the second trial. There was nothing. There wasn't even anything on Higgins or Brian Albert, but they were there. They were there. Basically, that's why they won that argument, because they were there at the time that Karen and John were there. But it's ridiculous. Even the knuckle thing. It drives me crazy because they still show the picture that is like, how old was it? The one they show where his knuckles are scraped is like months later, right?
Yeah.
Right. But there's a picture that's 2 weeks later.
Yeah, clean knuckles, right?
And there's, I can't.
I know.
I mean, it's like people say, how do you prove a negative? And even though you've got this picture of Colin in between, with nothing on his knuckles, people they're just like, yeah, I'm just not going to pay attention to that. Let me look at this picture that's 2 months later. And as far as Colin's story about how that happened to his knuckles, I mean, I got to tell you, and I don't think I'm the only one in the world that has ever had a few drinks and done something stupid.
Right.
But his story is not that ridiculous to me. I mean, I had a horrible fracture to my ankle because I had these Versace sunglasses in my hand and I was falling off the curb. And instead of putting my hands down, which is the normal reaction, I put my hands in the air and I had this just catastrophic fracture. So when he's saying he's got, he's holding something in one hand and he put his knuckles down, I don't think that's, I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I did something stupid too. I can see the way you would do that. And as far as like all these people with this ridiculousness, I really don't know. And I went to high school. My kids went to high school. Everybody I know went to high school. I don't know anyone. I don't know a single person that never had a drink in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys could direct me to those people that never went to a party, never smoked a cigarette, never had a drink, like, send them to my inbox because I've got questions. How did you do that?
Julie, I guarantee you the ones screaming the loudest about him having a drink while he's in high school are the ones that did 10 times, 100 times worse than what he ever did.
Yeah.
Correct.
The holier than thou people are the are the worst type of people.
Yeah. And this is a really good, this is from Tuesday's blog, I believe, which, I mean, she's had this out there forever and they all just ignore it. The picture, to my left is February 11th, 2022. So that is 13 days after John died, almost, maybe 2 weeks. And, clean knuckles, doesn't look like anything went on. And then there's a picture 15 days later. So in between February 11th and February 26th, Colin fell and hurt his knuckles. So that doesn't work out. It's not from the night John O'Keefe died. There's
Guys, remember the videos they were even putting up? Like Aiden at one point said he would pay $100, I think it was, or something like that, for a video of Colin fighting. And people were sending videos and it wasn't even him. It wasn't even Colin.
Some of them were him, and it was just like scrappy, like
it was.
Right. But I'm saying there was one video that there was like a legit fight from what I remember, but it wasn't Colin. It was like other kids.
Oh yeah, one of them was, and the other ones that they sent were, one of them was in the football locker room, and it was him and another friend. When they asked him, have you ever been in a fight? They didn't mean
grab ass.
Right, exactly. And of course, when you say that to Free Karen Reed, that's not what they were talking about when they asked him that.
No, and the videos that I saw were not fights. This was not like the viral fights that you see on Twitter.
Yeah.
I remember like my kids, my middle son, I think it was his freshman year in college when he came home for Thanksgiving. My kids were wrestling. I got to put this on Twitter so you guys can see it. They're wrestling in the front room. I'm like doing something and not paying attention because that's what boys do. Mm-hmm. And my youngest son charges my middle son and his ass goes right through the wall. And I'm like, oh my God. And there's a big hole in my wall, but it's like, that's what those fights that I saw.
Right.
Videos, like it was like nothing, like it was ridiculous. And Aiden Kearney, of all people, who said he got into a million fights in college, should know that's not what those videos were. And he probably knows, but it suits him to, carry on with this lie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just like how he had to, we don't have the picture, but I remember the picture of all, Brian Albert was in it. I think some of the kids, I'm not sure, but it was all the guys and like they were holding up their fist in that
Oh, celebrating.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
And he's
come
like, look at
on.
them, look at them, look how violent they are. Every picture Aiden takes, he has his fist like that.
Well, remember they asked Tristan in the first trial if they were celebrating her indictment? He was like, what?
Oh my gosh, that's right. That's what
Remember?
it was. Yeah. I remember now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So I just saw Erin just put up, and she can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she said that the witnesses legal defense fund is $236.
It is. Yeah, that's what I just saw in chat.
If you guys, anyone that's in this chat, let's get it to 130,000 tonight. If you can go to www.defendingthetruth.org. Okay, here it is. Oh, 370, I think. Maybe it was 370. Whatever. Just everybody should donate tonight. Oh, everyone's saying they should donate.
Wow,
$34. Colin's football number. That would be amazing.
Oh, 34. Yeah.
$34
Yeah.
for Colin. That would be amazing tonight if you guys could do that. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
For his jersey number, not 434.
Yes,
fair.
No, not for 34 but that would be amazing.
Yeah.
And put in a comment on the donating page that it's for Colin.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you, Erin.
Yeah, and if you can't donate, just say a prayer for Colin.
Yeah, you can do a prayer too, and send it around, whatever, if you can't donate. That's right.
So someone is asking, what does Tom Beatty look like? I've posted pictures of him before. Yeah.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, same. I'm going to. What is Colin's story of why he called Aaron Beatty that night? You know, we don't slay of hand, one. We don't really know.
Does he need a story, Slay?
Yeah, we don't need a story. They're teenagers.
17 years old.
I got to tell you, as a female that has lived, I don't know how old I am, 52, 53. At that age, at 12:30 at night, you get calls from boys for lots of reasons. So yeah,
just leave it up to your imagination. I'm sure you can get there.
Yeah, leave it up to your imagination. Like we said earlier, Slay, I don't know, you must not have heard. Erin also had people over that night. She had a little gathering.
Yeah, she had a party.
So I don't know, maybe he was wondering if people were still there. Maybe he wanted something else. But the one thing we do know is Erin didn't have a driver's license and she didn't have a car. So he certainly didn't call her from a ride.
Right.
He was home anyway. So, and you know, the great thing is the federal government vetted all of this. So they know where Colin was.
Very good point, Carrie. And I think for me, watching people on Twitter and content creators not accept the text between Colin and Allie was ridiculous.
But they don't.
So let me understand this, guys. You don't accept those. They were good enough for the federal government, but for you, it's absolutely ridiculous. So on one hand, you're saying the reason why Karen is innocent and these witnesses are guilty is because of this federal investigation. And on the other hand, you're saying the evidence that the feds had that they said was legitimate and would tend to show that these witnesses were not guilty is bullshit. Like, you guys, come on. I mean,
remember the whole, everybody trying to claim that those messages were faked.
Oh my God.
Everybody on Twitter was smarter than the defense team, the $1 million+ defense team that Karen Reed hired. They had no clue that these were faked, and they allowed them into discovery, and they allowed them to be exhibits.
Right. Alan Jackson.
Everybody on Twitter is smarter than Alan Jackson. I mean, it's ridiculous. The lengths they have gone to, and they look like fools.
Mm-hmm.
You look like fools.
You really do.
Yep.
Yeah. And you know what's great though? What I did see today the past couple of days anyway, I know we've already talked about it, the three of us, is her new interview. The comments that I am seeing.
Yeah. Did you see Nick was very excited about like 1 million views? I have news for him. I went through a lot of her old videos, like I'm gonna say this wrong, mukbang. It's not mukbang, it's Luke something. She's got like 700, 800,000 views on all of her videos.
Yeah, she does.
1 million is nothing for her.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't seem to change anyone. I mean, the comments that I am reading underneath anything talking about that video, it used to be, I mean, what, 80-20?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's 70-30 now against her.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, I think she realizes, you know, with the local market, she's probably tapped it out. She's trying to get, but I think she's overestimating. She's overestimating what her pull is. And so I hope this kind of knocks her ego down.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, the comments are definitely, they've changed so much.
Yeah, they really have. And I think too, seeing, I don't look at her defense of him, but somebody posted it on Twitter. I think she probably tried to, you know, obviously did this to maybe get a big push on that, and that didn't work out either.
No.
So, karma, baby, that's what happens.
Yep. And I, you know, I don't have any inside information for you guys, but I don't think that Aiden Kearney is correct in that the sandpaper dock is not coming to fruition. I think it is. I think we're going to see that. And I think maybe Karen is trying to get out ahead of that. And unfortunately, there's nothing she can do. The truth is the truth. And what she did is what she did. And
the comments are going to get even worse.
Correct. No reasonable person is going to be able to stomach what she did or what Aiden did. They're it's just not going to happen. They have this weird little tribe coming from his, you know, it started with his weird followers from his blog that he had. And it kind of grew, and we've seen it split now, where you've got the people that are on Aiden's side and the people that are on Karen's side. But I can tell you guys, when it spreads across the country, normal people are not going to be able to stomach what these two did to innocent people. It's not going to happen.
I mean, I don't think it would happen anywhere else, right? I meant to say it after, and I forgot when we were watching Hank do his third-party culprit argument. I still can't believe when I am watching him behind in the gallery that he was allowed in that courtroom. You've never seen it anywhere. It's so embarrassing, and it's it just makes a mockery out of the courtroom.
The faces he's
making.
My
God. And you don't see, I mean, we watch trials, right? It is so disrespectful. And the funny part is I'm watching him and he's making faces, and every time Hank says facts, right? That this didn't happen with Colin, this didn't happen. And he's doing it so all of his followers watching on all of their content creator shows are looking at him and thinking, oh, Hank's lying. Mm-hmm. Because he has to do that, right? Because there's no evidence. There's none. And that he was allowed in that courtroom every single day is, I'll never get over it. It's mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling. And just watching him now in that, 7-minute clip, G?
Yeah. He's a grown man.
I know.
Grow up. You look
journalist.
Like a fool. He's sitting there with journalists who are doing their job, and he's making faces like a 5-year-old. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just the fact that people worship him and it's crazy, because to me, that is such a, I don't know. I don't have words for it. Like, it's just, that's nobody I would ever, I would just look at, even if I didn't know who he was, I would just look at him and be like, what is wrong with this person?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if I was friends with you, I would not be anymore because I would be so embarrassed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He's a clown.
Yeah.
He is the definition of carnival barker. That's what Karen wanted, and that's what she got. So we got to 1:30, you guys. I think that's amazing. Thank everybody.
Yeah, oh my God, you guys
we got there.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
You guys are all amazing. I don't know. When is our next show? I don't know.
We have John Jackson. John
Jackson.
I
love him.
Is it next Thursday or
Yes,
Friday?
yes,
Next Thursday.
yes.
Okay.
And we're so excited. So excited.
So John is the one after the verdict who was on court TV. And I got to tell you guys, I watched him.
He was amazing.
He was so raw and so real. I watched it 5 times. I was in my kitchen, and I will remember this probably till the day I die. The first time I watched it, I started sobbing.
Yeah,
and then I watched it again, and I probably did this for an hour, and I was crying because he said all the things that needed to be said, and I was so happy for him as John's friend. And so Karen attacked John's friends again during that Rotten Mango interview. So John Jackson, who she attacked and said wasn't a real friend of John, John Jackson's daughter, John was her godfather. So here Karen is trying to say, these people that they got didn't even really know John, and I never met them, blah, blah, blah.
Who said that?
She did during that interview on Rotten Mango. Like, shut
They
up,
were together
Karen.
during COVID. No one could leave.
Shut up, Karen. It was John, and it was Brendan on the ID documentary, and it was Tara. And obviously, she's going to attack Tara because we know how Karen is with women. But, John's daughter was his goddaughter. So no, Karen, it wasn't just random people, because she was trying to say like they didn't talk to any of my friends, whatever. I don't know.
What friends?
She's just such a horrible person. She's such a horrible person.
Right. But
She really is.
super excited to talk to John and for everybody.
Yeah, that's going to be great.
I can't wait to hear what John has to say. So super big fan of John.
And then I think we might end up doing a show. We might have to do Thursday or Friday again, because I think is there a motion due Friday? Isn't that?
I think so. So we might have 2 shows.
We have to. Because the motion to dismiss, right, is due on Friday. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Busy week. And I think Aiden is in court next Friday, correct?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, is he?
Am I right on that?
No,
So I'm
Yeah,
more
you are right.
focused. Yeah,
Yes.
we're focused on this, but we might.
9:00, which I think everybody thought maybe he was gonna. That's because he's being arrested, but I don't think.
I don't think so. I think they just changed it.
Yeah.
Karma will come to his door when it comes to his door. But yeah, super excited for John, and maybe we'll see you guys next Friday too.
Yeah, for sure.
Who knows?
So you guys, thank you so much, and please keep giving tonight. And write for Colin in the in your message, www.defendingthetruth.org. And the witnesses are so grateful to all of you guys, and I can't even tell you how much your support means to them, truly.
Yeah. And pray for Colin. Pray for, and if you don't pray, send him good energy. Pray that he has better days ahead. And we all know he does, but pray for that.
Yes, Julie, that's great. Thank you.
Agreed.
All right,
guys.
All right. Bye, guys.
Good night.
Karen, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
34 Fairview. If John was beaten up and attacked in that house, who did it?
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
son, Colin. Oh, I can't wait to see Colin. I'm going to have a lot of questions for Colin. And something tells me he won't be able to control his temper like you did. He can get some. He can get some too. There won't be a dog there to back him up this time. I'm not afraid of your stupid son. Believe me, I could kick the shit out of your stupid son. So please.
The defense chose a strategy, a very strategic strategy, to sell their story and disseminate to the public, potential jury pool, in a way they thought best fit their needs. And they've done this continually.
Keep going. We're gonna go strong. We're gonna focus all over.
And Chris and Jen especially were the most involved afterwards in like covering this up because their kids are involved. You know,
Right.
their kid, they had the most to lose here. Whereas Brian Albert kept more of a low profile, and Higgins just dropped off the face of the earth, and nobody talked about him.
Yeah. Put like Fort Knox apparently around his house because how he knew you were driving by. And I mean, that was a crazy story.
That was wild. And it's just really, it has to be, we have to constantly remind people that Colin Albert was involved in the murder of John O'Keefe.
Okay, you're aware he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert. I mean, we're all in on the same joke, right?
So did you go in reverse 24 miles an hour, 53 feet?
The data is what the data is.
So did you go in reverse 24 miles an hour, 53 feet?
The data is what the data is.